Welcome to Connect4Life, the Learning Channel.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. We still have people coming in. I understand there's going to be a larger group arriving at about 10:30, and that's fine. We're flexible. We're adaptable. It's a Friday of a long weekend with beautiful weather, finally. Victoria Day weekend. How was everybody this morning?
Good, yeah.
Tell me where you're from. Just shout it out.
London, England.
Oh, Jamaica, London, England, hey, Toronto, okay. No Scarborough? Ajax? Mississauga, I didn't hear that.
Yes, Mississauga.
Hey, okay, yeah, the boss is here from Mississauga. Well, I'm local as well. Again, my name is Steve, and I'm just here to get things going. Have everyone sit down, and really, we're just testing the volume of the mic. I'm the warm-up act, and I'll be out of your hair in just a couple of minutes. Now, the washrooms, for those of you who are not familiar with the campus, are on either side of this auditorium, both men's and women. And I guess I'm starting to sound like a flight attendant. You know, in the event of an emergency, your oxygen masks will. No, we're not going to have that happen today. But today we will be talking about a lot of different types of emergencies, but specifically what we do with people who need that extra bit of assistance and consideration in those emergencies. And this happens all around the world. This affects us all around the world. We have some of the most respected, dignified, and experienced people in their fields coming to present to you this morning. We also have volunteer assistance available to anybody who requires it. There's volunteers. Okay. Look at that. It works. A volunteer badge. They'll help you with just about anything except filing your late income tax return. Everyone, please remember to make sure your name is in the system just out front. That's not only to receive a certificate of completion, and these are lovely certificates, I'll tell you. They're frame-worthy, and I think they exceed the visual charm of any Ontario University degree. But we have a raffle prize. In fact, there's a couple. So make sure you're there. Make sure you've got your coupon so you can claim your prize if your name is chosen. First, I want to give special acknowledgement to a certain person behind the scenes. In every event, in every organization, it's those behind the scenes people who don't necessarily get the recognition, but they're the ones who are really the nuts and bolts of everything. Our behind the scenes Superman is Jan Melvin. Many of you would have exchanged correspondence with Jan over the past few weeks. He adeptly handled everything we couldn't, and he did so with grace and charm. Thank you, Jan Melvin. Yeah. Now, this event is volunteer-driven, and many of our volunteer members are here today. And that speaks to not only community and the value of volunteerism, but the innovation of our communities, working together. The energy that we galvanize to put something together, it's volunteerism, both from Connect4Life and Centennial College. And speaking of Centennial College, one of your associate deans is going to take over the microphone today as MC because he's a heck of a lot better looking than I am. Dr. Delon Omro is a highly distinguished academic practitioner and one heck of a cool guy. Dr. Omro is the Associate Dean of Public Safety and Community Care in the Faculty of Integrated Health and Community Care at Centennial College, where he oversees programs like police foundations, community and justice services, addictions and mental health, social service work, pre-service fire, just to name a few of those disciplines that are geez, a little relevant to, what we're doing today. Dr. Omro's undergraduate and graduate studies are rooted in criminology, which led to a postdoctoral fellowship at Ontario Tech University. His studies in green criminology, especially as they relate to environmental crime and justice, which is the transnational trafficking of humans, wildlife, plants, hazardous waste, for example, led to a published book on the field, Eco-Violence Studies, human exploitation, and environmental crime. You can get it online. Buy your copy today. As well as his work with various international agencies, including Interpol and the United Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends, would you please warmly welcome Dr. Delon Ormro, your Master of Ceremonies.
Thank you so much, folks. And it's not lost on me that we're having a bit of feedback, so our AV team is currently trying to iron out the kinks. But I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. You know, at Centennial College, we do our best to engage in theory, but also praxis, if you will, right? Linking the outside world to what our students are learning within their classrooms. And this topic is very near and dear to my heart. As Associate Dean of Public Safety and Community Care, once a year we host what is called a mock disaster, where the majority of our programs within the Faculty of Integrated Health and Community Care participate in a simulated event, whether it's an ice storm, a wildfire, so on and so forth. And we have actual practitioners in the field that enter this scenario. They provide mentorship, they provide guidance, and for our students, it's a wonderful learning opportunity. It's considered an IPE, an interprofessional education experience. So this is a synergy of all programs, and of course, when I met Connect4Life, I thought it was just serendipitous. Total alignment in terms of our values, our mission statement, in terms of the care economy and what we do at this college, especially within this faculty. So we are grateful here to gather and explore the topic that affects every one of us, yet often undergoes a bit of mysticism in terms of being under-examined until a crisis is already underway. And my program coordinators who will be a part of the speaking components momentarily are here, Dr. Hines and Kira Machado, who are program coordinators of developmental service work and social service work. Some of our students will be joining us. They're currently in class, but they will be joining momentarily. And emergency preparedness is not only about plans, supplies, and procedures, it's about people. It's about recognizing that during emergencies, barriers that exist in everyday life, whether it's language, age, culture, technology access, socioeconomic status, become amplified. Okay, they're at the forefront of what we do within the province of Ontario. In fact, Minister Jill Dunlop attended our mock disaster and bore witness to our simulations and had tremendous feedback, tremendous insight into how we can grow, expand, and continue that practice. So today's discussions will focus on how we can design preparedness strategies that are inclusive by default, not retrofitted after gaps are discovered. We're hoping to examine how thoughtful planning, accessible communication, and community-centered approaches can ensure that everyone, especially those most at risk, are considered before, during, and after an emergency. So let's begin with our presentations. I would like to call to the stage, to the podium, Kira Machado, once again, our program coordinator of developmental service work, who will be providing our land acknowledgement. And she is a Centennial College graduate, faculty member, as I mentioned, within the DSW program, also a program coordinator, bringing her career full circle by returning to the program as its coordinator. She holds an honors Bachelor of Arts in Disability Studies from TMU and a Master's of Arts in Psychology and Education. Kira brings many years of professional and lived experience in advocacy, values-based practice, person-directed planning, support, and education. Her entry into the field as a frontline worker advocating alongside people with intellectual disabilities continues to shape her work and commitment to building more inclusive communities in meaningful ways. Grounded in universal design for learning, she is passionate about inclusive education, accessibility, and preparing students to support people with disabilities through socially just ways. A round of applause for Kira Machado, folks.
Thank you, Dr. Amro. It's an honor to be here today. We will start with our land acknowledgement. This is a land acknowledgement rooted in disability justice as part of the Developmental Service Worker Program. We acknowledge that Centennial College sits on the treaty lands and territory of the Mississauga of the Credit First Nation and in the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Wendat people. This land is governed by the dish with one spoon wampum, an agreement to share and care for the land in peace and mutual responsibility. As educators, learners, and advocates, community members, and professionals, we recognize that education in Canada has played a role in erasing, dehumanizing, and excluding Indigenous peoples, their knowledge systems, and their stories. Our professions exist within systems that have historically marginalized both Indigenous peoples and persons with disabilities, often through the same mechanisms of control, categorization, and erasure. Disability, as we understand it today, is shaped by colonial frameworks that disconnect people from land, culture, and community. We acknowledge that this work of access and decolonization must always be in relationship. These are not separate goals, but interdependent acts of resistance and care. We are responsible for creating environments where all bodies, minds, and ways of knowing are valued, and where the act of learning is also an act of justice. We believe that access to education, to belonging, to meaningful support, and to safety is a right, not a privilege. In the same spirit, we believe that access is also an act of resistance. Let this acknowledgement be more than words. Let it be a commitment to challenging ableism and colonialism in our systems and practices, and to honoring Indigenous sovereignty, community knowledge, and collective responsibility in meaningful ways. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kara. Okay, folks, just some housekeeping before we begin. If you can, please turn off your devices during the talks, during the presentations. Also, for those who have not checked in, please do so, because I realize that some of our students will be getting a certificate along with others who are attending. So please make sure you check in. My understanding there's also a raffle, so another incentive to check in. Now, I would like to take a moment to introduce some of our delegates who have taken time out of their very busy days to be a part of this event. And once again, that's what Centennial College is all about: outreach, engagement, breaking down those barriers from the classroom to the outside world so our students can get a fulsome, wholesome, and holistic perspective of the disciplines that they're currently in. So I would like to introduce Lisa Priest, Assistant Deputy Minister of Emergency Preparedness. And part of that division, Lisa Priest is currently the Assistant Deputy Minister of the Emergency Preparedness Division at the Ministry of Emergency Preparedness and Response. That division leads the monitoring and coordinating of the nuclear and radiological emergency planning as outlined in the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act. And it coordinates, monitors, and evaluates the development and implementation of the Ontario Public Service Emergency Management and Continuity of Operations programs. The division also maintains and promotes Ontario's emergency preparedness public education, training, and exercise programs that leads in the planning, development, and management of supporting Ontario's Indigenous communities' preparedness for local emergencies. A warm welcome to Lisa Priest.
Thank you so much for having me. Great room. I kind of feel like it's nice and cozy and we can all kind of have a conversation. I guess it's a very long, I thought that was my short bio, but I guess it's a very long way of saying that what we do at the Ministry of Emergency Preparedness and Response is my area is all the things that happen before an emergency. So that means our division does all the plans for Ontario. You heard a little bit about nuclear, because nuclear is the one emergency where the province is immediately in charge. But all the other emergencies, and there's, as we know, many types, floods and fires, it's usually driven by municipalities and then moves up. And one of the things that's happened since we're also known as Emergency Management Ontario, because that's what we were for decades and decades and decades, and then we were made a standalone ministry. But since so many people know us by Emergency Management Ontario, we kind of go by that name as well. As well as part of the plans, one of the most really important things is having preparedness guides, like the one we have them online, and different versions, but we have them tailored because it's so important to make sure that it's very specific to the individual that needs it. So in Ontario, we've really shifted our approach from broad general awareness campaigns, because they may not speak to people, certainly they don't speak to all people, to more intentional audience-specific public education. Recognizing that risk is experienced differently, right, across communities. And particularly, we work very closely with Indigenous partners all around Ontario, but particularly in the north. But we also work with seniors, and we co-design our work. One of these latest preparedness documents we did was worked on with 20 different organizations. And so for people with disabilities, it means developing materials that are not only accessible in the format, but also relevant in content, recognizing diverse needs, barriers, and lived experiences during emergencies. We are tailoring messaging to both hazard and the audience. For example, emergency preparedness guidance for people with disabilities, it considers mobility, communication, and needs across scenarios like extreme heat, flooding, and power outages. All three things I just mentioned, we could probably, we've all probably lived through one way or another, right? And we'll face in the future. The guide is disability specific and emphasizes self-reliance for at least 72 hours, accessible planning, and individualized accommodations. So it helps folks create an emergency plan tailored to their disability environment and support needs, and it outlines essential kit items. There's checklists for general kits and service animal kits and disability-specific kits. And it also identifies important considerations before and during emergencies. It offers, I'm going to provide a couple examples, but it offers advice on mobility, vision, hearing, non-visible, seniors, high-rise, and travelers. And it promotes accessible, inclusive emergency response, highlighting the need for accessible communication, evacuation routes, and accommodations during shelters. So in particular, what we've also had, and you can find these online, there's do's and don'ts, for example. Do's is, folks in here will know this, like always ask first if you can be of assistance. It has, for people who are deaf-blind, use your finger to draw an X. And then it has quite a few other do's in terms of, maybe additional emergency preparedness kit items. Extra white cane that it might be longer in length, talking or braille clerk, lawyers please, time please, extra vision aids. And then it has as don'ts, in terms of, obvious, some of the things that are pretty obvious about shouting at a person or grabbing a person. In terms of vision disabilities, it can, as we know, it can include a broad range of conditions ranging from complete blindness to partial or low vision. That cannot be corrected with lenses or surgery. And so a person's ability to read signs or move through unfamiliar environments might be challenged, creating a fear of being lost or being dependent on others for guidance. So the three of the main pieces of emergency plan for vision are, marking all emergency supplies in advance with fluorescent tape, large print or braille, familiarizing yourself in advance with all escape routes, having a long cane available to readily maneuver around debris on the floor or furniture. We emphasize emergency preparedness, and we often do different public education campaigns. Some we do through media, others we do through setting up booths at different events. But this has been one of the most important parts for folks. People also want to know them, obviously, for their pets, for seniors, and all sorts of other priority populations. So I would just say that we all need an emergency preparedness plan, and when we're thinking about doing them, we always try to co-design. Well, we always do co-design them with the groups. Otherwise, we can't inform properly. But I'd also say I'm very open to any other ideas that folks have, because it's a constantly evolving. We're into continuous improvement on this area, and it's been just, I'm looking forward to being here for the rest of the morning and hearing from everyone. It's great to be in an environment where there's a lot of students. My daughter is a student in university, so I really like being with young people and learning from young people. And thank you so much for having me, especially being here on a long weekend, especially a sunny day. I know your time is precious, so I guess my only regret is I don't get to do the raffle because I didn't sign in, but you know what, I can live with that. But thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So we do have some other delegates I would like to share the stage with, as it were. First, I'd like to acknowledge Peter Kobina-Taylor, Consul General of Ghana, Toronto, Ontario, and Joyce Asamora Korantang, Consulate General of Ghana, Toronto, Ontario. A round of applause, a warm welcome. I know this is somewhat impromptu, but you're more than welcome to come say a few words if you'd like. No pressure, but yeah, absolutely. Thank you. In a similar vein, I would like to introduce MP Salma Zahid, a member of Parliament since 2015. Salma Zahid was elected in the new federal, elected in the new federal riding of Scarborough Centre, Don Valley East in 2025, and is a committed champion for gender equality and a strong voice for diverse families of our country. Salma is chair of the Standing Committee on Science and Research and is a member of the Standing Committee on Citizenship and Immigration. In her work on the committee, Salma has worked to ensure the voices of racialized Canadians and visible minority women are heard and have advocated for improved customer service within the immigration system and for increased family reunification. Before entering politics, Salma was a community organizer working to support women, their families, and youth, and served the public in several positions with the Government of Ontario. Salma holds a Master's in Educational Management and Administration from the University of London's Institute of Education and an MBA from Quaid-e-Azam University in Pakistan. Please, a warm welcome to Salma Zahid. Okay, and as I mentioned, we will have some other delegates joining us throughout the symposium, so we will wait for them to arrive before I do a formal introduction. But now I'd like to begin with the speaking components. And we have Melanie Taddeo, Dr. Hines, Mindy Ophir, and Sean Picard. So I would like to just first begin with a brief introduction, a bio for Melanie, who I just met quite recently this year.
I think we'd let MP speak first.
Yes, absolutely, yes. Who? I'm sorry, who's
MP Salma.
Yes, yeah. A few words, Salma? Yes, yeah.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Absolutely. Once again, returning to the stage.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It's really great to be here at Centennial College, Ashtonbee campus, and I would like to welcome you here in the great riding of Scarborough Centre, Don Valley East. And I really want to thank Connect4Life for organizing this important event and bringing together such a dedicated and diverse community here. Today's gathering highlights something we all know to be true: safety and preparedness must be inclusive. And we all need to be ready for that, and we need to make sure that our seniors or people with disabilities are not left behind. Emergencies don't affect everybody equally. For people with disabilities, seniors, and those with complex health needs, the challenges can be much greater than anyone else. And too often, their needs are overlooked when we are planning emergency preparedness. That's why events like this matter so much. You are not just raising awareness, you are sharing the practical tools, building stronger connections, and helping individuals, families, and professionals feel more confident and prepared. This kind of collaboration is what helps turn intention into real and a meaningful change we all need to see. I want to thank all of you, participants, caregivers, and professionals for the work you do every day to support others and strengthen your communities. And I know when we are together, we can ensure that preparedness is truly inclusive and no one should be left behind. And that when emergencies arise, we all are there to help those who need a little extra hand. And that's what Canadian values are, and that's what we work every day to make sure that we build a Canada where no one is left behind. So thank you once again for having me here, and thank you for organizing this event and bringing people across the board together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, next up we have Melanie Taddeo. Melanie Taddeo is the founder and CEO of Connect4Life, a Canadian charity dedicated to creating inclusive, accessible opportunities in education, skill development, and employment for people of all abilities. As an educator, speaker, and inclusion, diversity, and equity consultant, Melanie has dedicated her career to breaking down barriers and empowering individuals to reach their full potential. As the first legally blind teacher in Ontario, Melanie brings both professional expertise and powerful lived experience to her work. She is a passionate advocate for accessibility and inclusion, working with communities, organizations, and institutions both in Canada and internationally to drive meaningful change. Through her leadership, Connect4Life has developed innovative programming in broadcasting, life skills, job readiness, and wellness, helping individuals build confidence, independence, and pathways to employment. Today, Melanie brings her expertise and lived perspective to the important topic of inclusive emergency preparedness, ensuring that people of all abilities are not only considered, but actively included in planning, response, and recovery efforts. Please join me in welcoming Melanie Taddeo.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm great. Good morning, everybody. I was going to say afternoon. My goodness. It is morning. Good morning. How is everybody? Excellent. Thank you so much for being. I'd like to introduce Sean Pickard, who is my, well, you're on my right side, so I'm going to say my right-hand man. And he's going to be, he's going to be the eyes of the operation for me. So as you heard, I'm legally blind. So Sean's going to help me with what's on the screen so that we're being fully inclusive. And I want everybody to think of it this way. Whether you're somebody with lived experience, somebody who's going into the profession, that is working with individuals with disabilities or seniors, or perhaps you're a first responder, or maybe you have a family member, or maybe you're just curious to learn more. Please enjoy today with an open mind, with curiosity, respect, and listen carefully to all the insights and perspectives that you'll learn today.
The event objectives. Understand types of emergencies common in Ontario. Identify personal support needs during emergencies. Develop a personalized emergency preparedness plan. Learn about rights, accessibility, and accommodation in emergencies. And build confidence in self-advocacy and community response. Melanie?
So this is the goals for today, as well as we are going to hear from, as Delon said earlier, many different perspectives and speakers. So as we go through, you may have questions, and I understand that, and you're eager to ask. We're going to have questions and answers at the end, but if you have a burning question that absolutely has to go right now, put your hand up and we'll do our very best to address it. Sean, I'm sure everybody's looking really excited, right?
Oh yeah, we'll call it that.
So I want to see some smiles. I can't see you, so please no falling asleep. Okay? Thanks. Okay, what do you got, Sean?
Understanding emergencies in Ontario. Types of emergencies. Impact on people of all abilities. And Ontario emergency response. Melanie.
So we know we've heard a lot recently because Emergency Preparedness Week was last week. Everybody remember getting that notification on your phone, the alerts to test? Yeah. So it's a very big thing and important for us all to be aware of. But what we've noticed as individuals with disabilities, that there's some areas that perhaps haven't been brought to the table or considered. So that's what today's workshop is all about, is we want to bring these points to the table for us all to consider and to really have a conversation, because this is what it is. We're all learning from one another, and today we're going to touch on things that perhaps you haven't thought of, or perhaps you already have and you might be second, oh, I've heard that before, but let's dive deeper.
Let's start with some types of emergencies, Melanie. Severe weather events, heat waves, ice storms, extreme cold, things of that.
Okay, so we know, Ontario especially, we have diverse climate, right? We can have the crazy winter that we just had with the snow, we've had ice, we've had blizzards, but we also have extreme heat. Now, these are things that all of us as individuals living in Ontario have to adjust to. But then that also comes into, for seniors and individuals with disabilities, other considerations. If somebody is on medication that doesn't respond well to heat or cold, these things are not necessarily looked upon, and we have to consider them. So yes, we need to know if there's an ice storm coming, and we need to know if it's a severe heat. But as individuals with disabilities and seniors and those that work with them, we also need to know how best to support individuals. So throughout today's presentation, please understand there's no cookie cutter solution. It is individualized to each individual person with lived experience. So you may have some resources that help the general population or some certain groups of individuals, but everybody has their own preferences. So the best sentence you will learn today is, how can we best support you as an individual?
Next up, Melanie, we have power outages.
I don't know about you, but everything I have depends on power. Yes? Yeah. All of my devices talk, and if I don't have my phone charged, I am up the creek because I have no accessibility at all. So power outages are something that many of us have experienced. Now, I'm older than a lot of the people in the room, Sean, but do you remember the power outage that we had for a whole week?
Oh, I remember that one. That was a good one.
And not only did we not have power to watch TV or listen to the radio, but also for people with disabilities, power outages can mean life and death. We'll dive a little bit deeper as we go along, but this I just want to touch on.
Health emergencies, stroke, heart attack, COVID-19. Melanie.
Ah, yes. Now, I suffered a stroke when I was 21, so I can speak firmly on this. When individuals are having a medical emergency, whether it's stroke or heart attack, there's things to consider. Not only are the signs of it, because everybody should know what those are, but as professionals working with people, we need to be prepared of what they need in an emergency situation. We can't always plan for emergency health situations, such as COVID-19. Who would have thought that would have happened? Well, there are things that happen, and emergencies happen in a quick, fast-paced environment, sometimes not knowing what we're dealing with. That's why we have people like Emergency Management Ontario that are working hand in hand with the health services to ensure there are plans in place in case things happen. But as we know with COVID-19 and any medical emergencies, there are going to be situations that we didn't prepare for fully for people with disabilities and seniors. So this is why we're going to dive a little deeper with it today, so we're aware of what we can consider and what we need going forward.
Next is everyone's favorite, evacuations.
I remember when I was 5, okay, yes, I'm dating myself big time, Mississauga had a train derailment, and we were evacuated quickly and in the middle of the night. Do you have an evacuation plan? No, most of us don't. But today we're going to talk about that as well.
Next, we're talking about the impact on people of all abilities. Mobility, sensory and cognitive needs, communication barriers, evacuation challenges, and access to medication and assistive tech. Melanie.
Okay, I know we're going to dive a little deeper into each one of these as we go along, but when you think about it, not all disabilities are visible. So if individuals or seniors have mobility challenges, it could be arthritis, fibromyalgia, or any other invisible disability that may impact their mobility. Sensory, for myself who is legally blind, somebody with hearing loss, or even a learning disability or brain injury, right, Sean?
Oh, brain injury, big one for me.
Yes. So we may not know what those disabilities actually are. So we have to, again, not think of a cookie cutter solution, but make it individualized. And we will have Kira speaking a little bit more about disabilities later on. But I think it's important for us also just to mention here, Sean, and I think I missed the point, but can you repeat the last one?
Access to medication and assistive tech.
Yes, and I will be diving deeper into that in a little while. But medications, we take it on a daily basis. But in an emergency situation, you may not have time to wait for your prescription to be renewed. And your assistive technology that plays so much in devices in your everyday life, we have to consider that in planning ahead. Because if you don't have power, you may not be able to charge those devices.
Systems, WEA, community emergency plans, local emergency management offices, and public health and support systems.
We're doing these one by one, Sean, because this is a really in-depth. So WEA, anybody know what WEA actually stands for? No. Ah, wireless. Okay, yes, go ahead. Yay! Standing O for you. Well done. Yes, so those alerts that go to our phone, whether it's going to be a weather alert, an Amber Alert, or
Silver alert.
Could be a senior missing, yes,
missing,
absolutely. These are things that come to your phone, and you don't have to do anything special. It comes to all devices that are eligible, even if your phone is in Do Not Disturb, as well as if you, so the alarm system, you know, the beep, 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 I can't make the sound, but the one that we heard last week, that will come. It also comes with a look, so you know it is legit. And it usually shows up on your device, on your TV, and on the radio. And these are just to keep people informed of what's happening and what actions need to be taken to keep you safe. That's the first one. The next.
Next is community emergency plans.
I learned about this last week in Emergency Preparedness Week and in preparation for this. Each environment, your municipal, your workplace, and your province has their own plan. So Centennial College has a plan, my condo has a plan. Everybody has a plan. And if you're not aware of what that plan is, you might be a little bit stuck. So you want to make sure that you are understanding the plans that are around for you in your environments. And this is something as simple as having a conversation with the leads, letting your needs be known. Every community has a registry for individuals with disabilities and seniors that require special assistance. So please make sure that if you need assistance, you are on that list. And if you're a professional working in this sector, please ensure your clients or the people you're working with are also on that list. It just gives an extra sense of security for individuals that may be a little bit more marginalized.
We have 3 minutes for the last two here, Melanie.
Okay.
Local emergency management offices.
Okay, so definitely those offices, find out where your local one is, and they are willing to have conversations, as Lisa spoke earlier. They want to hear feedback, so please reach out and find out your local one, and if you have any feedback to share, please make sure you do that.
And public health and support systems.
Again, COVID-19, we want to make sure we know where our public health is, because if something happens and another pandemic happens or anything, they work very closely with emergency management. And we, as individuals with disabilities and seniors, need to ensure our needs are being heard.
And I believe next is Delon, coming up for a moment.
Yes, wonderful. Delon? Okay,
Delon,
so we're going to
in.
call Kira.
This is Kira.
Yes, so we're going to call up Kira. Please come in.
Mobility needs, other may have sensory or cognitive and developmental, intellectual, mental health, or psychosocial needs. And many people experience more than one need at a time. Inclusive planning means moving away from the idea of one size fits all and recognizing that safety and accessibility looks different for different people. For people with mobility-related needs, emergencies create major physical barriers. The stairs can become blocked. No offense, Dr. Omro. You're blocking the stairs. There can be blocked sidewalks, narrow exits where we have some trash cans over there. The elevators shut down and can quickly make evacuation difficult or impossible. Some people may need evacuation chairs, accessible transportation, backup batteries for mobility devices that they may not have readily available to them, or physical assistance moving through a space. Good planning includes accessible evacuation routes, clear refuge areas where appropriate, and defined support roles so assistance is coordinated rather than improvised during a crisis. It's really important for us to understand that the goal is not to be completely independent. It's ensuring that people have equitable access to safety. For our students here, if you were a student who used a wheelchair or a mobility device and there was a fire or a major event in the building, do you know what the expectation would be for you if the elevators were shut down? You would be told to go to a place designated to wait to be evacuated in an evacuation chair. Yes. But all your peers might evacuate down an accessible or open stair. Right? So you may be alone waiting to be evacuated by an evacuation chair because there may not be evacuation chairs on every floor of a building. Okay, so these are things that need to be taken into consideration. Emergency communication is often heavily dependent on sound, visual, chaos, or rapid change, all of which can create barriers. People who are blind or low vision may need orientation assistance, tactile guidance, and information in accessible formats. And we've talked a little bit about that already, communicating through touch, making sure that we're guiding people, giving clear information, asking before we support someone. People who are deaf or hard of hearing may miss voice-only cues. And so often we are using voice-only cues or announcements and may not be able to rely on spoken communication systems. People with sensory sensitivities, emergency environments can become overwhelming very, very quickly. Loud alarms, flashing lights, crowds, sudden touch may increase distress or disorientation. Inclusive planning needs to include visual schedule, quiet spaces, access to headphones and comfort items, and predictable communication strategies. I have an example. I should have brought my examples up with me. This isn't good planning. My students would not be happy. These are an example of accessible communication strategies during an emergency. I'm holding up a set of cards I have here. This one says, "I need help." It has a picture of someone holding up their hand. "I am lost." Again, it's picture symbol communication, also with words. "I feel unsafe." It's a picture of someone who looks distressed with an exclamation yield sign. What's unfortunate about this is that I'm a developmental service worker. I'm also a family member of someone with a significant disability, a sister of someone who had very significant disabilities, and a mom of a child who has autism. When it comes to collecting items like this, it often comes through the resourcefulness of developmental service workers, moms, community members, and individuals who need them, not necessarily at the forefront of the people doing the planning. These come all the way from Australia. I've never found anything like these available to me as a parent here. And when I bring these over from Australia, they come at a very hefty price, right? Which creates an inequity. I am fortunate enough to be able to provide those. But that is not true for every family member. So these are things we really have to consider. Emergency alerts need to be multimodal, and meaningful information needs to be shared visually, audibly, in plain language, and whenever possible, in text and tactile systems. During emergencies, information comes quickly, it changes rapidly, and it's filled with complex information. For people with cognitive, developmental, and intellectual disabilities, that makes emergency situations harder to process and navigate safely. Supports such as plain language instruction, like we've talked about, repetition, visual supports, and predictable routines included trusted support people can make a significant difference. During COVID-19, we saw the separation of trusted support people from individuals during emergencies. And it's really important to understand the psychosocial impact that that had on individuals during emergencies. Training for emergency responders is also essential. Disability-related communication or support needs should never be mistaken for non-compliance, refusal, or lack of understanding, and far too often it is. Inclusive planning means recognizing that people may process information differently and designing systems that support understanding rather than creating confusion. A really great example of this, and I don't know if you've heard of this, is Channel Port Basque in Newfoundland. Has anyone ever heard of the small town Channel Port Basque in Newfoundland? They're known as Canada's most autism-friendly. Moms and community members recognize that emergency situations can be overwhelming for autistic children, particularly during house fires where there are loud sirens, flashing lights, smoke, crowds, and rapid changes happening all at once. After working directly with families, local firefighters began equipping trucks with sensory bins containing items like noise-canceling headphones and sensory tools. I have a fidget spinner here. You can get these at a dollar store, right? They're very inexpensive. And comfort items to help children regulate during emergencies. The bins that these housed in the fire trucks also included reminders to the responders. Speak calmly. Use short sentences. Please be patient. This went further than just creating safe spaces for children during emergencies. Later, the fire department created a quiet zone during the town's Christmas parade, where sirens and flashing lights were turned off so that autistic children could participate comfortably. This is inclusion in action. What is powerful about this example is that the changes were not expensive or complicated. They happened because people listened, learned, and asked different questions about inclusion. Emergencies also affect emotional well-being and physical safety. Sirens, crowds, uncertainty, sensory overload, and loss of control intensify anxiety, panic, trauma response, and emotional distress. Some people may need calm communication, reduced stimulation spaces, trusted support people, and most importantly, choice in how they receive support. When people feel respected, informed, and emotionally safe, they are better able to respond during a crisis. Inclusive emergency planning recognizes that safety includes psychological and emotional well-being, not only physical survival. Getting to the end. So the barriers during emergencies take many forms. The physical barriers may include the inaccessible buildings, the transportation, and the evacuation routes. The communication barriers can happen when information is shared in only one format or uses overly complex language. These are examples of cards that explain how to use items in a first aid kit with a picture of the item on the front. plain language instructions on the back. Policy and planning barriers occur when emergency procedures are designed without considering these disability-related access needs. But attitudinal barriers include those assumptions that people with disabilities are incapable, difficult, or less important to prioritize. Often it is these barriers, rather than the disability itself, that increase the risk during an emergency. Now, inclusive design is all about what I teach, what I study, universal design and inclusive design. So this is my favorite part. Inclusive design is creating environment systems, communication, and procedures that can be used by the widest range of people possible. And in emergency planning, this means multiple alert formats, accessible spaces, simple instructions, flexible procedures, and communication that is easy to understand. Inclusive design benefits far more people than we sometimes realize. It can support older adults, children, people with temporary injuries, people who speak different languages, and individuals just experiencing the stress and confusion of a crisis. When we build systems inclusively from the start, accessibility is part of the structure and not an afterthought. What does this look like for us if we're going to plan for an emergency? It means planning by involving people with disability directly in the process. People with lived experience should be included in planning discussions, drills, evaluation, and decision making, not only consulted when a problem arises. Inclusive planning also means building accessibility into the core emergency response itself, the communication systems, the transportation, the evacuation, sheltering, and recovery process. And finally, staff and volunteers, developmental service workers, social service workers need training that emphasizes flexibility, dignity, and person-centered approaches. For all of us in emergency management, in police, fire, safety, teaching, education, as good neighbors, in anyone who recognizes shared humanity with another individual. The goal is not to simply help someone survive an emergency. It is to ensure that everyone has equitable safety, access, support, and dignity throughout the entire process. Thank you.
Thank you for those eloquent and thoughtful words on the topic. I would like to just draw your attention to some new members of today's symposium. Today's talk, we have our social service worker students led by Dr. Hassan, who just arrived, and some members of the Toronto Police Services. And we will cover some time later.
Police, okay.
And when time permits, we will carve out some time for folks to connect with practitioners in the field to learn more on the topic. Now I'd like to bring your attention to a very important delegate who's just joined us, David Smith, MPP, Scarborough Centre. David Smith was first elected to serve as the Member of Provincial Parliament for Scarborough Centre in 2022 and was re-elected in 2025. Currently serving as the Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Energy and Mines. He plays a vital role in advancing Ontario's mineral development strategies and energy priorities. David Smith is focused on building a reliable, clean, and affordable energy future for Ontario, supporting investments in nuclear, hydroelectric, and renewable sources while championing innovation and energy efficiency. His work supports long-term sustainability and energy security for families and businesses across the province. David Smith previously served as a Toronto District School Board trustee for Ward 17 having championed initiatives to enhance student outcomes, collaborating across all levels of government to modernize infrastructure, improve safety, and promote innovation. As a former parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Labour, Immigration, Training and Skills Development, he led efforts to strengthen Ontario's workforce. One of his landmark achievements was the passing of the Working for Workers 6 Act, Skilled Trades Week. Every first week of November is now recognized as Skilled Trades Week, featuring workshops, showcases, second chance individual seekers, and training opportunities, and for students, new immigrants, tradespeople, and others. With a background in financial services, David has served in various community and governance roles, including Director of the Toronto Lands Corporation, Chair of Employment Insurance Appeals of Referees, and Chair of Finance Administration and Accountability at the Toronto District School Board. At Queen's Park, MPP Smith has also served as Chair of the Standing Committee on Government Agencies and currently as the first Vice Chair of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. And I would like to just stress the importance of the work he does, especially with regards to mineral development strategies. As Associate Dean, I also consult with Interpol on the global initiative against transnational organized crime, and we are seeing an uptick in social inequality, environmental injustice, when we look at things like critical energy transition minerals. And this, of course, creates a divide. It creates a schism, if you will, between the global north and the global south, leading to incredible and tremendous examples of just, like I said, eco-violence, social inequality within the developing world. So thank you, MP Smith, for the work you do. And a few words, if you will.
Good morning, everyone. Well, I must say that on the Associate Dean, he literally had a rap sheet. I got to look at the cops over here because I guess when you pull my name up, you see the same thing, right? But on the achievement spectrum, he's all correct. And today, before starting, I'd really like to congratulate our last speaker. Oh, you're amazing. I can say this very passionately because I think it's important when we look at people with disability. Yes, a lot of patience, a lot of respect, understanding what their needs are. And I know that our police officers are champion at this. My Premier, Doug Ford, speaks over and over about the work of our police officers, not only for people who can bounce around, but they look at people who are of that disability space that really need help, and they know exactly what to do. I want to thank you guys over and over for the work that you continue to do in our community of Scarborough Centre and across Toronto. Let's give a round of applause for them. You know, our government has created a space for emergency preparedness events to look at how we are going to look at a ministry. We created a separate ministry. It wasn't there before. Some was hidden in senior and accessibility. Some were in CC, Children and Community Services. But now we have a department of which we can talk about that space of mental readiness and so on. This is led by Minister Jill Donelop. And if you have a concern and live in Scarborough, please come to my office and let us hear about it, because it's very important that this problem is growing, and we want to make certain that it is so not isolated. Take it out of the silo and talk about it so we can see how best we can help. So there's dollars in the initiative to make sure that we are getting the programs that are needed to deal with modern time and new technology and all of that. So it's very important that we understand that we are here with you. I'm sitting in front of me today, Miss Melanie, right? Is that you?
Yes, me.
I know. She's a tireless advocate. She's quite a person that brings her heart. And this is a person, again, with a disability, but it's not a hindrance because she finds her way around. Where's Steve Christopherson?
He's working around the clock.
He's working around the clock. Well, this is another guy that I really want to talk about because these two people get around and to seek me out at every opportunity they get to make certain that I'm aware, because as a legislator at Queen's Park, how bills are formed, it's formed by bringing the ideas from the community to the table. And if we're not there to talk about these things, it go amiss. And as a result of that, I want to thank Melanie for tireless effort in making sure that we get the voice that we need to push these agenda ahead. So we have people from all backgrounds, but I can say wholeheartedly when we look at disability, we must know exactly where we should put our hands on the pulse. And trust me, if they don't do what I'm expecting them to do, I don't care where you live, come to Scarborough Centre, because I don't take things like this very lightly. I'm a strong advocate of this organization and the work that you're doing, and I want to continue to be a strong advocate. So please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Everyone deserves the opportunity to learn, grow, and succeed, regardless of ability. That is why our government, through the Ministry of Energy Responsiveness and Minister Jill Dunlop, will continue to ensure that Ontario community are safe, practice, and prepare for emergencies for all, including those with disability. I would also like to thank Connect4Life, Centennial College for putting this event together to help show people with disabilities and seniors how to prepare for any emergency or natural disasters, and to teach people how to prepare emergency plans and personal emergency kits. And to the president of Connect4Life, Ms. Melanie Taddeo, for all the work you and your entire staff and team do to empower people of all abilities to reach their full potentials. And this is important because sometimes people have a disability of some form and they shelter themselves away. Please, all of you, volunteers, newcomers, whomever you are, always let's try to see how we can support those groups of people, because if I see it, I call it. And I can say that everyone is in this room today. Thank you all for coming. I know there's an interest. It might be a family, it might be a friend, or just want to help in these situations. And I encourage you to do so, because I'm right there. If someone tells you something, like I say, that is not the right thing to say to someone who's helping, please let me know about it, because we need more of you to help those people thrive in their daily lives. So I want to really thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here today and to sharing my advocacy signature to the opportunities of helping people in these quarters and needs. So I look forward to seeing you more and more and more. In concluding here today, we are going to be having a Ford Fest event in the Thompson Park on the 19th, and even people with disabilities are invited. So we can bring them out so they can start getting customized to the weather and being a part of us, because I like to see everyone up, not just the ones that can walk and get there on their own. So if you know any person in those situations, please let's bring them out so that they can be a part of the Ford Fest. It's one of the first days of activities happening in Scarborough Centre, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MPP Smith. And you'll be happy to know that Minister Dunlop actually attended our mock disaster in March of this year.
Is that right?
And that was an incredible event featuring the majority of our programs in the Faculty of Integrated Health and Community Care. We simulated a wildfire and how it intersects with various forms of human exploitation, human trafficking. So it was a really fascinating event to see in full.
Well, I have to add that I got myself in a little bit of a trouble because I saw her and I said, "Are you coming here today?"
Oh dear.
I said, "Oh, let me check my schedule."
Right.
But we were here also when I was serving in Labor Immigration Training and Skills Development. We had a jail day here where a lot of young women were getting into the skill trades, and we had a session here exposing them to many of trades that the big bucks is in today. There's a lot of money in trade. And if you get into mining, where I am at right now, energy and mines, I'm looking after that labor file to make certain that we can get people to head to the north, because there's lots of money out there, but people think it's coming to Toronto. No. Everything is happening out there. So your young boys and girls who would like to get into the mining sector, it's a wide open field, and I'm looking forward to seeing many young people. We are talking about unemployment here in Scarborough, 19%, and as a result of that, I'd like to talk to a lot more young people about getting into the skill trades, because there's a lot of great opportunities there for your children, brothers, sons, uncles, and aunts. Okay, so I'm looking forward to hearing more from those people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, and I did want to highlight, I think when I first mentioned his name, he was not in the room, but Dr. Mahbub Hassan, one of our professors in the social service work program, who has brought his students. A round of applause for Dr. Mahbub Hassan. He was also a tireless advocate of community development, community engagement, and once again, instrumental to the programming we do at the college here. And on that note, thinking about inclusive emergency preparedness and management, that is an extension of the work that our faculty do in social service work and developmental service work. Okay? It is about enhancing the protection, the autonomy, and safety of those most vulnerable in our communities. On that note, I would like to pivot to our next speaker from the Canadian Red Cross, Mindy Oifer. Mindy Oifer has been part of the Canadian Red Cross going on for 6 years. She's very engaged with the Toronto Emergency Response Team, assisting individuals and communities affected by personal disasters like house fires, and also larger responses including evacuated communities affected by wildfires, flooding, etc. Very similar to what we simulated during our mock disaster. Mindy is also a Canadian Red Cross Meals on Wheels driver delivering hot meals. Her involvement with emergency preparedness involves facilitating Be Ready workshops locally, provincially, and nationally. When Mindy is not volunteering, she enjoys her retirement by traveling, reading, and attending plays. Maybe you can tell us one of your favorite plays when you walk to the podium. A round of applause for Mindy, folks.
Thank you very much. I've been to Australia. I didn't know I needed to pack up a package for you, though. That's, I just came back from 5 weeks in India, been all over the world. Anyways, it's wonderful to be here. This is an amazing opportunity for us to talk to you about emergency planning, emergency preparedness. We may be repeating things, but we do I'll talk a little bit about the Canadian Red Cross. As you may know or not know, we are the largest humanitarian organizations in the world. Between the individual country societies and the International Red Cross, we respond to disaster situations all over the world. And as was said, nationally, provincially, locally. Currently, right now, we're hosting some First Nations in a hotel not very far from here. So every spring, we have flooding up in James Bay. First Nations need to be evacuated. And we also have coming up, already in place actually out west, are wildfires. They're already happening. So we're engaged in that. We do a lot of other programming, but I'm here to talk to you today about being ready. This is a standalone presentation. This is my 10th one I've done in the last 2 weeks. I'm tired. I did 6 last week and 3 this week. And I was supposed to go help out at the other evacuation hotel, but they told me I can take it easy tomorrow. Yes, I love volunteering. I've been doing volunteering since I retired. The first volunteering gig I ever did was the Pan Am Games. And circle around, I'm going to be volunteering at FIFA. So everything has a synchronicity. But be ready is very important. The workshops that we do can be anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. We talk about many of the things that we've already heard other speakers mention. And I'm just going to do the plan for you guys. But I'll just say if anybody's interested in having workshops where we will come in and do either 45 minutes to an hour and a half, we can come and talk to you. We can do presentations to condos. I made a connection for the condo, for other organizations, for schools, I did some in libraries. We've been all over. Yesterday I was up at the Honda plant. We did one, it's not a plant, the Honda facility in Newmarket. So we're all over the place and we love doing these. So I'm going to talk about the plan. The plan is critical. Knowing the risks has already been mentioned. I'm going to sort of touch on, we talk about the 4 steps. We talk about the 4 steps is know the risks, make a plan, build a kit, and networking. We have a raffle for a 72-hour emergency kit. All that's missing is your underwear. Sorry. You have to personalize it. I don't supply you with your clothes. I don't know what kind of t-shirt you want to wear tomorrow. But everybody needs a plan and everybody needs a kit and a go bag, if you will. When I started doing, I'll be quite honest, when I started doing these, I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a kit. But what I had was my own plan, which is, I don't know, it was an Excel spreadsheet. Everything that I need, and this goes with me wherever I go, all over the world. I update it before every trip. It's got everything. So what's an emergency plan? Let's go here. So here's the plan. It's got to be a family discussion. It's very, very important to include absolutely everybody in your household in this discussion, in your workplace perhaps, everywhere. So let's talk about what is a plan. So let me just ask, what do you think should be in your plan? Just raise your hand and give me some ideas. What do you think should be in your, yes ma'am? First aid kit. That should be in your kit. Your plan is a written plan. So check it on your family. Yep. Anything else? Okay, then we're going to have a good time here. So I know, all jokes aside, this is just what I do to engage you and to make me feel special. Hi.
I think your health information needs to be there so that if a respondent comes in, they know what they need to do.
Perfect. Excellent. Very, very important. So let's dive into that. So first of all, you have to have your important documents. You have to have a meeting place. You have to have places to stay, an evacuation plan, and a contact card. So let me just show you. And I just want to say, this is not a Red Cross uniform. It's just random. I went to Costco, and they have these pants. And I put this on, and I went, oh my goodness, they gave us red T-shirts. They don't go with the pants. So I'll just show you my contact card. So it's in my wallet. It's with me with my, my OHIP card and everything else. We have Google Wallets. We have Google Wallets in my Google Wallet. So this contact card It's got my name and my date of birth and my blood type, my medical conditions, and on the back it's got my major contacts, so a cousin, a friend, and an out-of-town contact. So this is a really important. We have a whole table here with some ideas here as well. I'm happy to talk to you and about it afterwards. So let's talk about each of these things. Sorry, let's just go through the. Okay, we have a document, and every jurisdiction, as our deputy minister said, has their own plans. So every city, every municipality, every region, everybody has a form of this plan. What the whole idea of being ready and having a plan is to empower you. It's to make you feel less stressed if something happens. And you don't have to run around the house and gather everything. Because what happens, if you can't, I met a person at a library the other day and she said, everybody said, oh yeah, you just phone somebody. And she said when she got in a car accident or something, she said she was so shook up, like literally shaking, she could not dial the phone. So she had something like this in her wallet and she got somebody to make that call for her because she had to call a friend or her husband or whatever. But basically, this is 14 pages, but it's not scary. There's lots of white space in it. The first part of the plan, and everybody in your family you've got to capture, everybody in your household, you have to capture all that information. So what do you need to get? You need to get your health card number, your passport number, driver's license, cell phone. That's basic. You also want to have copies of all that. So, this is really old, my COVID certificate. But it's very important to have everything there. So copies of your passport, and if you have other legal documents, some people have their will in there. If they've got they're coming from different countries and you have different levels of your immigration process papers with you, your visas and stuff. So every person in the house. The other thing that's really important is to have members of your network. So there you go. You're going to write down, who else can I talk to? So this is not mine. This is actually mine. So I've got people my cousin, I can go stay with her. I have a friend who usually does these presentations with me. Other cousins and things like that. And the other thing is they have to know they're in the plan. So it's not really helpful if you write this plan and you said, Carol, hi, can I come stay with you? And she went, no. Or like right now, she's in Scandinavia. I cannot go there. Maybe. I'm going to Scandinavia actually in September. But it's really important to have everything that you need. And I have an out-of-town cousin who lives in Kingston. In an emergency, the Canadian Red Cross provides 72 hours of assistance. It's 72 hours because it might take the emergency response teams, the fire department, whomever. It takes 72 hours for them to get you sometimes. So you need to be prepared for 72 hours at basic. Also, if you need to get out of your house right away, you got to have that by the door. Everybody in the house, even the kids, you make a kit, put a toy in it, put their PJs in it, stuff like that. Have them involved in creating this plan. You sit around the table and you talk to them. So it's really important to know what everybody that's there. The other thing that's really important, this has got my doctor information, my nearest hospital, my pharmacy. So a good thing about the pharmacy here, we tell people have 3 days supply of your medication. So I have one of those little tablet things. It's got 3 days of medications in there. And I've got my phone number of my medical, my Kipling pharmacy. So let's say you get out of the house so fast that you don't even have anything. And let's say you've got high blood pressure, diabetes, anything. So you can call your pharmacist and you can say, I'm in a shelter, I'm in a hotel, I really need my meds, and they'll deliver it to you. usually they're amazingly helpful and be able to give you 1 or 2 or 3 days supply. And then if your evacuation is longer, then you can work with the pharmacy and your doctor to get a repeat sent to you. So really important, because you don't want to be somewhere and not have your blood pressure medication, your insulin, or anything else for that matter. So it's really important. I've got everybody here, my optometrist, my dentist, they have poison control. So it's really important, and for every member of your household, the next thing is, what are your medications that you're actually on? What's the dosage, what's the frequency, and what are the conditions that you have? So, my goodness, my list is long. Wow. I'm anaphylactic allergic to avocado. So I have an EpiPen in my car, I have an EpiPen when I travel. So whenever I go somewhere and they say, what are your dietary, EpiPen and kiwi fruit. Very bizarre. So they need to know that, your blood type. And here we go. What are your medical aids? So this is the audience that we're talking about. Are you using a cane? Are you using a walker? Do you have assisted devices that are plug-in? People have wheelchairs. People have CPAP machines. So what exactly do you have? And the brand and serial numbers maybe. Because if something happens, we go to a lot of responses in buildings, and people are in a wheelchair, and the first thing that goes out is the elevator. So the fire department and these wonderful people help carry those people out. Because the other thing that was mentioned was make sure you're registered with your property manager, with their utilities, and they know that I'm on the 18th floor. You know, well, unfortunately, the ladders don't go that high, but if they have to, they can come and get you out. So it's really important to have all that and know who your medical supplier is, because you can go get, we don't always, in a response, we don't always have any of that. In larger responses, we sometimes, of the Red Cross, will borrow some wheelchairs and we'll order things. We do have, there's a process with the Canadian Red Cross because of the 72 hours. We provide 72 hours of support. So what that might mean is you're going to get, hopefully in a hotel, but it could be a congregate shelter. So sometimes your building needs to be evacuated. So we all know about the Thorncliffe Park fire. People were luckily evacuated to a hotel. Some people weren't able to. So some people had insurance, some people didn't. There's a number one thing, have insurance. Really, really, really important, even as renters. You know, your landlord has to have insurance, that's for the building. Your condo has to have insurance, that's for the building. I have to have tenant insurance, owner insurance. And a lot of people don't, and that really makes, I've gone to responses where, unfortunately, these things happen in the middle of the night a lot of times. So a couple, they had just moved into their house the previous week or the previous days. They had to get out of the house. I had on their pajamas, and they got their bird. That's all they got out. I've been to responses where people ran back in to get their pet. Please never do that. This was not a good outcome in this situation. So it's really important to do all of that. And I have copies of who's my power of attorney and things like that. And I have other things on my thumb drive in the cloud. Yeah, all of that. I have pre-planned my funeral, and I'm an organ donor. I have all that written down in here. Everything is all my credit cards, my bank, account numbers, all of that. I have, I live in a building, so I don't have utilities, but you have utilities. So you might have to shut off the gas. That's the other thing, when you get out of the house, you have to shut off the gas, the water, and other things. But who are your utilities that you might have to call? You can't go back into your home.
Just gotta check something for you.
Sure. Your battery died. My battery died. Oh, I feel so sluggish. That's what I've been missing. I can talk loud. So, yeah, where was I? Bank account numbers, your utilities.
Just gonna take that. Go ahead and speak.
Just, is this one?
No, that's just for the camera.
Oh,
That's just for the
hi.
camera. You don't have to do that. Just speak out loud. I'm sure they can all hear.
Yeah, so anyways, it's really important to know your utilities, and if you have to shut them off. You can't go back into your house until your fire department, police clear the scene, and so you need to know about things like that. This actually has, where's my main water valve, where's my electrical panel, things like that. And garage door override, gas, utilities. So there's really lots of things in here. Insurance information, your car insurance, life insurance, travel insurance. And then your pets. Don't forget your pets. You have to customize your plan. Totally, your kid does not care that you want to have this in the bag. They want their own stuff. So a game, a book, coloring papers, depending on the age of the child. The pets, really important. So you need to make sure that you know where your pets are, how many pets you have, and grab them if you have to. And so all that information, if they have like the GPS thing in their inserted into them. So really important to have your pets. And again, this is showing kids, pets, but people with special needs, really important. So who's in your household? How do they get out of their house? How do they get out evacuation? So the last part of the plan is actually a grid, so that they can do a mock-up of their home, and they can figure out how to get out. Where's the closest door? What if that door is blocked? What if as a friend of mine I met on a trip once said, what if it's a hot knob? Hot knob means there's fire on the other side. You don't want to touch that. Things like that. So are you going to climb out a window? Met many people who've climbed out of the windows. It's very traumatizing for kids especially. But, you have to think about that. Do you live in the basement? Where do you live? How are you going to get out? Who's going to help you? And especially people with mobility issues. People who have other abilities, disabilities, whether it's sight, sound, whatever. And then there are people that have cognitive disabilities, not seen. So they might, as was mentioned, they might really get overwhelmed by all of this panic. There's noises. Great. Is that better? Oh my God. There's noises, there's sounds, there's disruption. It's very stressful. For kids, whether they have autism or not. I met a kid recently. We were giving them some financial assistance, and I said, oh, you got 2 different shoes on. And they were both left shoes. They were in the hotel, and their dad said that's all she could get. They were wearing their pajamas. So that's why you want to have a go bag as well. And that's an evacuation plan. I live in a building. I'm right across the hall from my stairs. I'm going to be running down 18 flights of stairs if I have to. And the other thing that's in here is a checklist, but we have some other material there about what should be in your kit. So I'm not talking about the kit, but there should be all kinds of things. And there's different kinds of kits, and we talk about these in the full-on presentation. We have grab-and-go kit, which is just getting out quick. It's by my door. Like when my alarm goes off in my building, I pull my kit out of the front hall closet. I go gather my wallet and my keys and my phone and a portable charger, a power bank, I should say. I know where my passports are, everything is quick, and I have my pink folder, which is my everything, my will and everything. So you have enough time, but sometimes you don't. And what we say is just get out. If they tell you to get out, just get out. But you've got to talk to people in your plan about what are the specifics that you need to help decide how you're going to help seniors, how you're going to help people with mobility issues. So we talk in your plan about making sure extra medication, what are your assisted items that you have? Do you have a backup power supply? Oh, what if you're not home? You have a caregiver. You must include your caregiver in these plans. You're not got to let the school know for the kids. And at the bottom there says equipment suppliers. And then your physical, just to repeat, physical needs, plan for extra time, especially. What's your evacuation going to look like? And you must practice this. You don't just write this and put it in the folder and put it away. So, yeah, Mindy, I did it. What do you bother me about? No, I have to practice. Twice a year. We say twice a year because that's when we are told to change the time, as long as that's going to be around. This daylight saving time thing, there's a lot of talk about that going away, but the fire department always tells us to check the smoke alarms and the carbon monoxide, whatever detectors you have, check them twice a year. Make sure they still buzz, make sure the batteries are changed. And this is the time you look at your plan. Look at your plan a couple times. You do a practice. Okay, kids, we're gonna have an evacuation today, like you've had it here in the school. You do it at home. Do it at home as well. And change your plan if you have to. Maybe you got a new pet. Maybe your meds change. So make sure, and what's in your kit, you need to make sure you rotate it seasonally. Like I have, long sleeves, short sleeves. I have my underwear, and have a pair of socks, things like that. Check your meds for expiries. So it's a good. If you have some basic non-perishable food, a can of something, peanut butter, some granola bars, things like that. And then again, your cognitive needs. So who needs a little extra help? Who might understand and recognize who might be in distress, and try to have some action plans around that. I talked about substitute condition maker documents. This I can go on for an hour. So important. I've had 2 elderly parents and a brother, and we've had make use of this. We have to talk to our family about it. Don't wait till you have to have that situation come up. So you have to have, I'm in a house fire, whatever, a car accident, I don't know. You need to know, and everybody around you needs to know how to deal with that, what your needs are. If you need to take pictures of things, stuff like that. Oh, that's great. We are. Anyways, we always talk about the 4 steps. This is something that's in every jurisdiction. Everybody has the 4 steps. I don't know who invented it. Or maybe Australia. I don't know. Don't know. They're pretty smart people. Been there, as I said. So know the risks. Have a plan. Have a kit. And the last one we talk about is have a network. You want to have people around you that you can rely on and that they can rely on you, and you can put them in your plan. So that's where we come. Any questions about a plan? You're all going to go. So you can go on the Red Cross. Oh, yeah, hi.
I'm here.
Oh, yes.
I have a question. Usually, I was working in the developmental sector with disabilities, and we used to do inventory. We check like once a month, and then we'll check other stuff. But because this is my personal plan, how often should I be checking that list and getting things out of my way that haven't started?
Well, we say to check your plan twice a year.
Twice a year?
Right, and if you're buying things for your kit, look for the longest expiry dates that you can for like peanut butter, canned salmon, things like pet food. I mean, everything, I could go on about expiry dates too, which is not Red Cross. I used to volunteer for Daily Bread Food Banks, so there's different criteria about how long things really are valid for. But it's really important to check your plan and your twice a year. And your kit.
It's more of the information. How often should I change it? Should I change it every time I get a new change? Some people may not.
That's your, I mean, we say That's why we say review it twice a year. If you know that something's happened, you got a new pad, you got a new medication, just, yeah, jot it down right away. Jot it down right away. Yes?
I want to know, at what age do you think that you should get this package?
Zero.
Or start the package?
Zero.
Zero.
Everybody needs it. Every family needs a plan.
Yeah.
Every person needs a kit.
Person, that's what I meant.
Any age. Because you have to get out of the house. Every kid, every child in the house, every adult in the house needs a kit. You have one plan for the family in your household. So you have a new child, put them on the plan. Because right away they get an OHIP number. They're not getting a driver's license for a while, but they get an OHIP number right away and a SIN number.
Okay, so maybe like at the age of 18, you should look into, and it would be going on the Red Cross site.
Yes, I was just going to say, if you go on redcross.ca/be ready, you're going to find all these documents and just a ton of resources. And we do virtual presentations, so you could go on that, preparedness. We do them, they're national, they're usually on a noon or 1 hour. And yeah, there's other things that you can do in Red Cross. There's other programs, psychological first aid, CPR. This under here is this is CPR for dogs and cats. But yeah, opioid poisoning, you can take, that's a separate one. I carry an opioid kit in my kit, so that's separate training. You can actually take these courses from other professionals, organizations, or from Red Cross. It's separate, the opioid one. And then at the end, they give you a little certificate and they send you an opioid kit. But you can just walk into any pharmacy and say, I'd like one. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to show them an OHIP number. You don't need a prescription. Just walk in and say, I'd like an opioid kit. No questions asked.
Is there an age that you can do these courses? Is there a specific age?
No. We've done presentations to school groups, March break ones. We're introducing a new program with Lego. Lego has developed a program where for the little kids, we have a brochure here. So it's, they have the Lego and they build what they think a disaster would be like, and then the school gets to keep all the Lego. So it's the product. The Lego has developed it. We're partnering with them to do the presentations. Yeah, it's just about serious play, right? Serious play. So I haven't been trained yet, but I'm going to be next week. Yeah, yeah. So there's all kinds of things. This is Rudy. Rudy is our comfort bear. So we give these to the kids. I've given them to adults. So, right, so they get, yeah. And don't forget about the raffle. And, well, thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll be here after.
Thank you so much, Melanie. That was very informative. Okay, so we will keep the symposium on schedule. Next up, we have Melanie back to the podium, speaking on emergency kits and assistive technology. Over to you, Melanie.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah. Is Sean here?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you so much, Lindy. And I encourage everybody to go over and check out the resources they have there on their table. So Sean, we are going to condense. So we are going to do this tag team speed, right? Okay, so we are. So we're going to talk about the emergency kits, because this is really important. So we all know that everybody needs a plan. Everybody. It means everybody also needs an emergency kit. So let's get into it.
Oh, emergency kits and assistive technology, personalized kits, and 3-day minimum supplies. Melanie.
As Lindy mentioned, 3-day minimum supplies. And that could be everything from non-perishable foods, whatever you need, clothing, that sort of thing. But there's some more considerations for people with disabilities.
Why the standard kit is not enough. Public Safety Canada and the Canadian Red Cross recommend a minimum 72-hour emergency kit for all Canadians. Melanie.
Okay, so we want to make sure you have non-perishable foods. We want to make sure you have clothing, you have anything that you need. including your medical information as mentioned in the plan, but also your assistive technology. You need anything if you are somebody that uses a communication device, somebody that uses anything to help you, like myself, my white cane, all of that needs to be in your kit. But you also need to really think about the power sources that your things need, because you need backup power sources as well.
Standard kits are designed for the general population, a useful starting point, but not the finishing line for people with disabilities.
I really wish we had the video. I'm sorry. Okay, so anyways, we also want to talk about the fact that, yes, what the Red Cross has on the list of the emergency preparedness kits, you want to have that. But for individuals with disabilities and seniors, there's so much more. Medication, devices, but also contact information and information on how to use your devices, because something may happen to you and your caregiver or support person may need to be able to explain this to a first responder. So if you use a communication device or a power wheelchair, anything that involves some technical understanding, it's so important for you to have directions that are simplistic, easy to understand for anybody to be able to assist you.
A meaningful kit for a person with a disability must be personalized, specific, and regularly reviewed.
I know for myself, sometimes new technology comes up. So I need to update my kit as I go because I may be using something different. It could be the same with anyone that has involving episodic disabilities, changes of medication, or anything that may evolve. So this is why updating your kit as you go. I love the fact that Lindy said seasonal, because I never thought about that. You don't need a sweater in the middle of the summer.
The core planning questions. What medical equipment do I depend on and what happens to it without power? What medications do I take? How are they stored? What is my plan if I can't access them? What support people or services do I rely on daily? What is my plan if they're unavailable? What does my emergency kit need that a standard checklist would never include? Melanie.
Very important. Support people. Your family members or a professional, if you have a PSW, anybody that is there for you, you need to make sure you know what questions you need to ask your support people and what do you need. And because you have to advocate for yourself and prepare this plan and kit in mind for what you need. Obviously, everybody needs a kit. Your service animal, your pet, your children, your parents, whoever is in the house needs their own personal kit. As individuals with disabilities, yours might be a little bit heftier because you may need more items. So please make sure you review this with yourself and your support people on a regular basis.
Essential kit items: water, food, medications, 7-day supply, and documentation.
You don't want to forget the documentation, especially if you have medical conditions or something that you need to have. If you have a service animal, you want to make sure you have your paperwork. You want to make sure that you have anything that you may need in an emergency situation, because we know emotions are high during emergencies. You're not going to remember, oh, I know where that is. Hold on, I got to get, put it all in your kit. Have copies of all of your information and documentation ahead of time. So you're not thinking about this when the house is burning down.
Assistive technology planning, powered mobility devices. Motorized wheelchairs and power scooters typically last 1 to 3 days on a full charge, depending on usage and terrain. Melanie.
So important to have backup power, whether it's a wheelchair, any other device, especially life-saving. I think we go to the next slide, but you want to make sure that you have the power supplies, backup batteries, backup chargers, anything, and make sure that you know where you can go and charge these devices, because if there's a power outage, there's no space to actually do that. So have this in generators, etc. So please be mindful of all of this in your preparation and planning your kits.
Have a manual wheelchair as a short-term backup where possible.
Now, I know wheelchairs are not cheap, but it's important to have this option if you are an electric wheelchair user, but also finding out what organizations in your community have these for you to use. It involves a rental or a lending policy.
Individuals with large, heavy power chairs must have a specific, accessible evacuation transportation plan in place.
We know that not all transportation are accessible. So really want to find out who has accessible motorized vehicles in your network. Find out and have a plan in place with them so that you can get out safely and effectively. A lot of our TTC and MyWay and all the other transportation systems do have emergency transportation things, and the Red Cross and other organizations like EMO, they all work alongside to make sure that these are in the plans for the local plan. So please understand what your plan is.
Hearing aids and cochlear implants. Rechargeable hearing aids require electricity. Keep a 7 to 14 day supply of spare disposable batteries in the kit. Include cleaning and maintenance supplies specific to the device. Cochlear implant users, the external processor and its batteries are critical. Without them, the implant does not function.
These are things that we may not even think about because it's everyday things. But in an emergency, you want to have all of these backed up, and you want to make sure they haven't expired, they haven't worn out. So really preparing ahead is essential because not everybody's going to be able to run out and get these supplies. So if you weren't able to communicate because of something that wasn't prepared, that's going to be a challenge for you and for others looking to support you.
Ooh, we're down to 5 minutes here, Melanie,
Yeah.
so we're going to
fly.
Yeah, high-tech AAC devices must have high-capacity portable chargers or power banks included in the kit. Always have a low-tech backup communication method that requires no power. Printed communication board, alphabet board, or symbol chart, for example. Keep documentation of communication strategies and key vocabulary for unfamiliar emergency personnel. Melanie.
I think you covered that well, Sean, because we're
short answer.
Yeah, I think we're good, but make sure that everybody in your network understands how your communication board. Kira talked about the cards. Make sure that you have what you need to communicate your needs, including a sign that says, I need help, to put in your window if you're in an apartment building, or if you just need help when you're alone.
Respiratory and life support equipment. Home ventilators, BiPAP, CPAP machines, oxygen concentrators, and suction machines present acute risk during power outages. Ask your equipment supplier about battery backup options and portable versions of the equipment. Register with your local utility's medical priority list. Have a plan for immediate transfer to a hospital or generator-powered shelter if an outage is prolonged. Ensure all emergency contacts and support workers know the individuals, and we're covering up our text there.
Okay, and I'm going to just mention this quickly. People will lose their life if they don't have the life-saving equipment they need. So planning ahead, ensuring people know what you need, and knowing where you need to go to get that charge is essential. It's not an option, it is a necessity. So when you're making your plan, find out where your local charging situations will be.
Communication and accessible information. Gaps in Ontario's emergency alert systems. The WA system delivers text alerts to cell phones, but the primary notification is an auditory tone, which may be missed by deaf or hard of hearing individuals with phones on silent or vibrate. TV and radio emergency broadcasts require real-time captioning and ASL interpretation to be fully accessible. Not always provided, especially during rapid onset emergencies. The 2021 AODA Alliance report found that most Ontario municipal emergency plans had no dedicated section on the needs of people with disabilities. Melanie?
That's it. Keep going.
Keep going. Backup communication methods. Battery-powered or hand-crank radio, one of the most reliable tools during power outages. No internet or cellular network required. Weather radios with visual alerts and vibration features are available specifically for deaf users. Text messaging, SMS, often works with voice calls. When voice calls fail. SMS uses less bandwidth and queues for delivery when network capacity returns. Follow local municipality, public health unit, and emergency management office on social media for real-time updates. Planning for interpreters and alternative communication. Have contact information for agencies promoting or providing remote video interpreting, real-time ASL via video call on a phone or tablets. Individuals using low-tech AAC or trained communication partners should identify backup communication partners in advance and include them in their emergency plan.
Okay, that's it.
Yes, we are on to.
Yeah, so we're going to.
On here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very informative, yes. Once again, part of our preparedness planning, mitigation strategies. Thank you so much, Melanie. Lots to unpack there, lots of information. And of course, we'll carve out some time for our students to visit some of our vendors, Toronto Police, Red Cross, so you can have a moment to really connect and learn more about hands-on, practical experiences and expectations. Okay, we're going to switch it up for a bit, and we are going to do the draw. Dan is going to help with identifying the winner for today's draw. All right.
So, hi everybody. So, we have a little break. You remember how when you walked in, you registered and you were given a ticket? So that's when the ticket plays. The first draw goes for the book, where you're going to learn more about Connect4Life, the story about Connect4Life, when did it start, why did it start, and where it is right now. So where has it reached? So we're going to do that right now. So I will ask for somebody, a volunteer, to put a lucky hand in the nice white envelope. Who are we going to get that for, John?
Oh, I think we have a volunteer coming down the steps. Yes.
Here she goes. Come on. Put that shake that thing. Just pick one.
Do you want to read the number up?
Yeah.
$750,013.
Okay, just here we go.
The winner. So maybe I'll get Melanie to offer the book to the lucky winner.
Yeah, please join us.
Yeah, and the winner.
And what is your name, friend? What's your name?
Anu.
Thank you. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you. Congratulations. Enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us today.
And then we'll have a second draw later.
Okay, so stay tuned for the second draw. I'd like to introduce Dr. Donna Hines, Program Coordinator of Social Service Work. It's certainly a fan favorite, it appears. Dr. Hines serves as full-time professor and the program coordinator of the Social Service Worker program at Centennial College. Her academic interest and pedagogical focus encompass social work and leadership, transformational leadership, women in poverty, anti-oppressive practice, power, privilege and oppression, race and racism, anti-black racism, whiteness, critical race theory, mental health, and the church. Ethical responsibilities, social inequalities, and social policy. She's also an author and a songwriter. Maybe she'll sing a song for us. Please welcome to the podium, Dr. Hines.
Thank you, Dr. Amr. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, to Melanie and the Connect4Life, and to our guests and to our students. Good afternoon. Inclusive emergency preparedness is not just a safety strategy. It is a commitment to dignity, equity, and the belief that everyone deserves protection before and during after a crisis. People with diverse disabilities and seniors often face the highest risk during emergencies, not because of their abilities, but because systems, environments, and communication methods are not designed with their needs in mind. Now, this is where social service workers play a pivotal transformational role in the planning stage. Social service worker brings a holistic, person-centered approach to emergency planning, where the person is not outside of the planning, but is in the center of the planning. When we look at accessible evacuation routes, effective emergency management includes the critical risk of planning evacuation routes. A building layout can determine whether a person with a disability or a senior is either safe or they are left behind. Social service worker plays a pivotal role in the evacuation planning process to ensure evacuation routes truly work for people with diverse mobility, sensory, cognitive, and medical needs. They also help individuals create personal emergency plans that identify who will assist them, with what equipment they will rely on, and what they do if an elevator or if the power fails. They advocate for barrier-free paths, clear signage, visual alarms, and safe area of refuge. Social service workers bring a human-centered approach that ensure that every person has the information they need, the support, and the dignity that they need during, after, and before an evacuation or a disaster occurs. When we take a look at transportation consideration, transportation is one of the biggest pressure points during an emergency. Social service worker helps client plan for what will happen if an accessible transit is disrupted and is not available. They work with agencies and shelters and individuals to build layered transportation plans that include accessible transit, paratransit, community support, and manual mobility backups. They also advocate for accessible vehicles to be part of the emergency planning response instead of after. They also considered mobility device, service animals, power-dependent equipment, and furthermore, during an actual evacuation, social service worker plays a pivotal role in support to help people navigate fear, confusion, and the need for rapid decision-making within the context of the emergency, and also helping clients to deal with the psychological and the environmental factors that comes with during an evacuation factors. Now, transportation challenges during and after an evacuation can significantly impact people's safety, mobility, and recovery. The role of social service worker in this process then is to ensure that no one is left behind, and that integrative planning is part of the process, and that assistive transportation option and inclusive communication is a part of the planning process. Social service worker ensure that a holistic and a transformation aspect is put to the planning process. Now, when we look at accessibility to shelter, many of our social workers are employed in shelters and different agencies. Shelters are not automatically accessible or safe for everyone. Social service workers then help to ensure that shelters are inclusive and transformative and transform trauma-informed care, and respectful dignity is employed to all who are within the shelter environment. They also advocate for step-by-step free access, accessible washrooms, space for mobility devices, visual alarms, tactical signage, and sensory-friendly spaces. Social service workers also ensure that shelters can accommodate service animals, store medication, and provide charging station for power-dependent devices. During a disaster, once people arrive at the shelter, social service workers play a pivotal role in helping with emotional support, providing grounding techniques, trauma-informed care, and helping clients with disability and seniors navigate the complexity of filling out complex forms and documentation. And also accessing resources that time can also be problematic. Social service plays a pivotal role during this time to ensure that everyone who enters during a disability are provided with either water, food, or we can call 911 or work with other teams to ensure that their needs are also taken care of. They also monitor for equipment gaps, making sure no one is overlooked because of ageism, disability, language, culture, income, religion, or race. Social service workers transform shelters from a place, not just a place to stay, but into a place where people feel safe, supported, and seen during an emergency. Now, when we look at the role of social service workers within any crisis or during or after any crisis comes from a place where they provide equity-centered planning that recognize that systems are often not equal and systems are not often inclusive. Social service workers then work from that perspective to ensure that inclusivity takes place. They also work from a cultural humility perspective and trauma-informed practice to ensure that the planning process during and after an emergency takes all people into consideration. Social workers also plays a pivotal role in the advocacy part of the planning or during and after an evacuation to advocate for programs, services to ensure that each person, if they are discharged or if they leave a shelter, that they advocate for all that they need or connect them to resources within the community. They also do assessment from a holistic point of view, looking then at the physical, the emotional, social, and environmental domain to ensure that there are no inequity within those contexts. They also advocate for marginalized groups, and oftentimes within an emergency or evacuation issue, there needs to be a look at marginalized group within those contexts because they often face compound and intersectionality within the risk during an emergency process. Now, social service workers ensure inclusive emergency preparedness is not just about logistics, but that it is ethical, that it is just, and it is human-centered. Ensuring that system not just want clients within a evacuation or a disaster to adapt to them, but that systems are prepared and planned with clients in mind, seniors and people with diverse disabilities. Social service workers work to ensure people with diverse abilities are not overlooked during the process or after the process or being dismissed or deprioritized or within the chaotic response during and after any evacuation or a disaster. And finally, at the stage of the emergency response, including evacuation routes, transportation and accessibility shelter, social service worker brings a focus of dignity, inclusion, and practical support by working with interdisciplinary team to make sure that the client's needs are met. They identify barriers, advocate for solutions, and provide emotional supports to individuals who during the time of any disaster face some of the most stressful times in their lives. Accessibility then is not an optional addition to the planning process, but it is a fundamental requirement for emergency planning. Social service worker then plays a crucial role in ensuring that all voices are heard at the table. In other words, during a disaster, social service workers become the eyes for those who cannot see, They are the ear for those who cannot hear, and they are the voice for those who cannot speak. Social service worker plays a pivotal role in all aspects of the inclusive planning from a social justice perspective and from an anti-oppressive perspective, understanding irregardless of disability, all persons require care and require services within time of any disaster. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Dr. Hines. Very, very thought-provoking, very informative. And once again, adopting a lens through social service work, developmental service work. You know, we're hearing different presentations from what seems to be different sectors, but there is an underlying motif, an overlying theme, if you will, and that is, of course, you know, adopting different lenses, different approaches to emergency management and preparedness. So I think we are doing a second draw, so we can carve out some time to identify the next successful winner.
Yeah.
Do we want to volunteer again? Oh, maybe, you know what? The first volunteer.
I think she Mindy.
Yes, yes. Oh, yes.
I'm going to
ask
the council.
Oh, you want to help me?
Oh, yes. Yeah. And we're going to have the Consul General join us as well.
Consul General to join us,
yes.
please.
So this is for the emergency preparedness.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's a beautiful kit. Yeah.
This is a 72-hour kit. Like I said, it doesn't have your underwear in it, but it's got a lot of great stuff. It's got a crank radio in it. It's got a first aid kit in it. It's got a lot of other basic supplies that will help you and start to build your kit. So there you go. Why don't you pick it?
Yeah, do you want to draw the ticket again and read the numbers out? All right, here we go.
What's the number?
7570030.
Okay. Who's the lucky winner of the kit? Oh, please come on down. Yes.
There you go.
Here.
Can we get one more?
Maybe one more photo if that's okay.
It's okay.
Everybody come in. Everybody come in. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, well, we are about to wrap up, and what I would like to do is carve out some time, because I realize that some of our students have other commitments during the day. So we're going to have a free-for-all insofar as we're going to mix and mingle. We have Toronto Police here. We have, obviously, Canadian Red Cross and other vendors. So for our attendees, please come down, introduce yourselves, learn more. And in terms of a wrap-up, any final words, Melanie?
Just for a last-minute note for everybody, if you have not signed in, you will not get a certificate. So please ensure you talk to the Connect4Life team. You'll receive a handout with resources and your certificate next week. And again, I want to thank all of our volunteers for Connect4Life and Centennial College, our speakers, our community partners, and all of you for attending. And of course, our dignitaries. Thank you so much.
Yeah, please feel free to come down, folks. Introduce yourselves.
Hi. You've been listening to Connect4Life, the Learning Channel, an official Connect4Life podcast. For more information about this program or any other podcast channel owned and operated by the Connect4Life Media Network, please visit www.connect4life.ca.